Are you going to be in trouble for this?
I believe I will be for sure. And so just for some context, the reason why I even made that video last night was that message was directed to other police officers who feel the same way that I do, or questioning what's going on. And so I posted it in a chat, and it got shared outside of that. So I don't know what the repercussions are going to be or what my future looks like, but honestly, there's no other issue that's as important as this.
Over the past 2 years of the pandemic, we've seen some really horrible examples of policing: arrests of peaceful protesters, police breaking up outdoor birthday parties, parents arrested in front of their children for the crime of being in the public park. But in amongst the stories of all the atrocious examples of bad policing, there are some really good police officers making strong moral stands, standing up for their own profession. But in those acts of integrity, those are often the things that might ultimately end a good cop's career, either through disciplinary action or just plain old demoralization. So joining me right now is the Calgary police officer who made that video, Nick Motycka. Nick, first I want to thank you for being one of those cops who got into policing for exactly the right reason and for being guided by your moral compass. And I can tell that you are not a very public person. You can see it in your demeanor, in your video. So I want to ask you, why was this so important to you? What you saw happening in Ottawa that you just had to go public?
Yeah, so I mean, like everyone else, I've been watching what's been happening over the entire basically the last 2 years, and for me, yesterday was the straw that broke the camel's back. I saw the Ottawa Police Service members, and I'm sure other members of the RCMP and other police services out there, going out and exerting what is 100% politically influenced. They are going out and exerting that political will on peaceful protesters that are doing what we're allowed to do under the charter that is guaranteed to every citizen in this country, in the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And for me, that scene yesterday, it was, like I said, it was just the straw that broke the camel's back for me. And I've been following along and watching various news feeds, you guys mostly, and I couldn't stay on the sidelines any longer. And honestly, it took me, I don't know, I probably wrote that in about 15 minutes last night after my kids went to bed. And then I just had this calling just to put it on video. And then I posted it in a private police member group that basically then it got shared from there, and it became what it is. And I knew when I made it that it was not going to stay within that group, and I've come to basically accept that, because I feel like this message is so important to get out there to not only other police officers but to members of the public, just so they know that there are guys and girls like myself who are appalled by what we're seeing from our governments, and we're just not going to sit on the sidelines any longer, and we're going to speak up, and we're going to do what we need to do to get that message out.
Now, without, I don't need names or anything, but what are you hearing from your, I guess, colleagues in policing? Are they supportive of the stand that you're taking?
And so, Sheila, just to, I guess, put it all in context. So I am a member of the Calgary Police Service. I am on leave right now. I have been diagnosed with PTSD. So I'm currently off work, but am still, I guess, employed by the Calgary Police Service. So I in no way speak for the Calgary Police Service or on behalf of the Calgary Police Service. This is my own personal, how I feel about what's going on in the world, and has nothing to do with the police service. Being that I'm off work, I'm pretty disconnected from my fellow police officers in Calgary. But this morning, it's been pretty overwhelming, the number of messages of support that I've received from people all over the world, it feels like.
Now, I want to ask you, what do you think the pandemic has done to the community's relationship with police? I feel like, for me, that's one of the things that will be the hardest to repair. We used to trust our police officers to defend our rights, and we're not seeing that. We're seeing police officers violate the rights of citizens when citizens are peacefully resisting their own government. So I guess, what's the state of that relationship, and is there any way that we can repair it?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's no doubt in my mind that the vast majority of police officers out there are, so they signed up to do this job for the right reasons. And for myself personally, it was a struggle to try and remember those good intentions, because you get jaded over the years. And for me, in my own journey, when George Floyd was murdered last year, that was a real turning point for me, where the public did really turn on my profession, through something that happened a country away. And it was, don't get me wrong, it was a terrible, terrible thing. And I 100% agree with everything that's happened in court since then to convict that police officer. But what I saw was the public was so quick to turn on policing in general, after that. And it was really disheartening for me personally, because I signed up to do this job to help people, and that just seemed to really get lost in that. And then just the darkness of how people treated police members after that incident, and then through the whole defund the police movement and all of that, it was really difficult. And so, but I understand where the public is coming from and with some of their views here, and specifically against what the police have been involved in with enforcing these mandates. I do believe that the majority of police officers are doing the job for the right reasons, but that can be taken too far, in terms of just following orders. And that's kind of where I see where things are at right now. Is up until now, I can see how you would just move through certain things. You're being asked to do things, and you can justify it. But now, with all of the information coming out about the science of what's happening with the virus, it's at a point for me where I just can't see how you can justify what the enforcement measures that are being taken, and now taking those enforcement measures against peaceful protesters who are in our nation's capital doing nothing more than making their voices heard, and they're just being ignored by the federal government. So sorry, to answer your question, I don't know how that relationship can be repaired, other than just the guys and girls that are doing the job for the right reasons, just to stand up and just move forward, and hope that the public will see that and understand, and just move forward.
Now, I guess that's your message for police officers still in uniform. Do you have like a further message for them? What if there are police officers out there who are feeling the same way that you do? What's your message for them?
I mean, I'm not going to encourage anyone to do anything that's against what they feel in their heart. I feel like if you're questioning the order that you're being given, and it doesn't resonate with you and your own morals and your own integrity, then you need to question that, and you need to take action to not be part of that. And I think the excuse that I was just following orders at this point is just, it's not good enough.
Now, Nick, what's next for you? Are you going to be in trouble for this?
I believe I will be for sure. And so just for some context, the reason why I even made that video last night was that message was directed to other police officers who feel the same way that I do, or questioning what's going on. And so I posted it in a chat, and it got shared outside of that. So I don't know what the repercussions are going to be or what my future looks like, but honestly, there's no other issue that's as important as this. This is it. So whatever happens to me because of this, I'm completely at peace with. And I just want to be a voice that stood up and said enough is enough, and whatever happens to me is kind of inconsequential at this point. This is way more important than the kind of trivial things that may or may not happen to me because of it. And at the end of the day, all I'm doing is just speaking my truth, my own personal views on this situation, and whatever happens to me is what happens to me.
Well, Nick, I want to thank you for taking that stand, and reminding those officers that are still in uniform that they aren't alone if they feel as though they are doing the wrong thing by enforcing some of these more draconian and political measures. Nick, can you let us know if you need some help? Because we'd love to help a good cop who stood up and did the right thing.
Thank you.
Rebel News currently has reporters today on Saturday in 9 cities across Canada covering the ongoing convoy protests against the lockdown restrictions here in Canada. To support our independent journalism and to see all of our coverage, please visit convoyreports.com.